Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spoilers, obviously.
Blah, blah, blah.
I am your host, Joel, and Moses Moon. And
Hello, everyone.
And with us as well, my older gay brother, Adam.
Hello, it is I, Mr. Apparently Now Gay.
You always have been. Hey,
I don't know. I heard a comedian, and I'm sorry, I do not know who the comedian is, but he said that every guy is gay, and he said this because he was talking to his redneck friend, and he's like, "I ain't no faggot." And he's like, "Oh yeah, do you watch porn?" He's like, "Shit, yeah, I watch porn." "Yeah, you like to watch porn with a girl getting plowed by a tiny dick?" "Nah, I need to see that big fucking dick." "Oh shit, I'm gay."
Yep. I've seen that clip.
It's an amazing joke. I love it.
Classic.
Well, this is a podcast with apparently three gay guys now.
Yep.
Oh my god, jeez. Yeah, I actually.
Well, speaking of gay, I mean, we're going to be talking about one of the most sexiest men alive, so fair enough.
Yeah. So with that, let's jump into it. Today we are going to get into an adventure into a mythic land called Dungeons and Dragons. Honor among Thieves.
Hey!
Nice. Where
Yeah.
I, the host, have invited both of you guys on a movie date. So that is pretty gay. So
Yeah, right on theme. I mean, I thought we were going to talk about Chris Pines, and for a second I got lost because I didn't remember which movie we were talking about, but it still works.
yeah, well, Chris Pines is in this movie.
Yeah, I thought we were going to retract. I thought we were going to talk about Keanu Reeves, but nope.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Chris Pines because he's pretty sexy, so.
Yeah, no, at first, yeah, we were supposed to talk about John Wick, but then Adam finally joined us on the podcast. We decided,
you guys wouldn't leave me alone. You're like,
would
Adam,
not leave you alone.
Adam.
That's how we get good content. We need you.
We need.
Ooh, you guys need me. Hold on. Let me rub these nipples. Say it again. I said nipples.
I need that. Rub my nipples here.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, I have nipples, and Joel has 2 dicks.
Well, that's a Hebrew podcast, man.
That's impressive. It's okay. There's continuity in this grand spoilers, obviously, world.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel, tell everyone that you have 2 dicks. Just get them all notified.
Apparently, I have 2 dicks. I don't remember how or why, but apparently I do.
Not a birth defect.
That's a joke. That's the joke. I somehow have 2 dicks.
I honestly don't see how that's a joke. That's a big flex.
It's pretty awesome, but it's kind of normal in the world of D&D, you know?
It is.
Yeah, actually. I mean, you could have, if you wanted to, and depending on the DM, make that a very particular noted fact.
Oh, geez.
Technically, that doesn't that make you now a monster? You're all? It's like you're a monster. You're
I'm not a monster.
At least one of your dicks will have stats for sure.
Please tell me it's a smaller one. So
Dungeons and Dragons, guys.
Anyways, we're getting way off topic into way too sexual for me.
Super personal.
And personal.
I was abandoned as a child. A common trope in D&D.
Oh my god.
Where's Jonathan? He needs to hear that story.
Yeah.
Can't bring in people to understand the grander context. That finally happened calling back to when we first heard about this movie, where I invited Joel to come play D&D with me, and of course roped in his brother, and it finally came to fruition. We played a game which was pretty fantastic. For the beginning was a good hook, great in, and then they've never played again, which either says that they're just busy or being really polite about my styling as a D.
No.
No.
I am like so not busy. I have nothing to do.
Well, yep. I am busy, and as your style of gaming, I absolutely loved it. I did. The only problem again is when you are available to do the D&D is when I'm at work. So, you know,
we gotta fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't work. I mean, make enough money with this podcast.
Break your other hand.
Yeah, or break your
where are
hand.
the Patreons, huh?
Just
Do you
break
have
your
a
other hand.
Patreon? Let's get this Patreon. Let's get people helping us with some money, and then we can, play more D&D.
There you go.
I
And
should.
we'll make
Yeah.
recordings of it, and depending on the followers, if they're, liking, we'll find a place where we can do a poll on Twitter or something. And if you like it, like the idea, go to spoilers, obviously, on Twitter, and then pump it up. And then, if we'll make a Patreon, sure, why not?
I should make a Patreon. I don't know how that
should.
works. That's a problem.
Don't sound
money
like you're
money
80s.
is a very hard problem. None of us know how it works.
Yeah.
But what I do know is you can use money to buy tickets to see a movie. Yes. Trying to get us back on track. No, let's go into this tangent. You had a what?
I had a conversation, a business conversation with some investment, whatever, and the guy said, "There's so much money to be made on the internet." I'm like, "Yeah, how?" And then there was like silence. And it's like, "All right, nice pitch."
Nice. Board meeting over. Well done, everybody.
Anyways, let's get
we used our money to buy tickets. Yeah.
let's get back into the
Can get
topic.
into this.
So we went all three of us to see the movie Dungeons and Dragons Unarmed Thieves. As you said, Moses, you did, introduce me to the world of D&D, and that's why it was important for me to watch the movie with you, because I know you can give me more details, more information in the movie, and I don't know what was more entertaining, watching the movie with you or watching you get a complete orgasm for every little reference in the movie.
Yeah, that was, well, here's the thing. Between, like, let's say the Mario movie and this movie, in terms of like honorable references that propel the story or just exist because of the world building in and of itself, this movie was on fire. Now, it didn't have to be like this. It really didn't, but like all the little hints and jabs and little like quick camera movements over certain things, like that was absolutely awesome. And it like, I tried to remove myself so that I could watch it from a basic spectator's point of view, but I lost myself instantly. They just knew you could tell that, and the producers and the directors, they all play D&D and things like that, like they talk about it in interviews, the love and the respect that they have for the world that exists was amazing. And the story that they told was like, it wasn't amazing, but it felt like I was a part of a campaign or a one shot that just felt perfect. It was just like, there's zany characters, and these characters complement each other, and they didn't pull me out of the story to force particular worldviews down my throat. It was just, here we are in the world, this is how it works, and this is the current situation, and this is how these people are going to solve it, and this is how it's all connected in the end. So it was, for me, good story building and writing, and good world building, and good the effects were pretty decent. I didn't have any real huge complaints. We'll get into the nitpicks, but I mean, this movie was definitely immersive for the fans, 100%. So as people who didn't have this particular set of knowledge per se, how was it for you guys?
Adam?
Well, just like you all said, it was amazing to watch you watch the movie. That was just awesome. I sat close to you, and every little
holding
thing,
me.
we were like hugging, and we're
we were on a couch, and there was couches, and it was very.
And I was sitting alone watching you have your own fun.
It was like a cuckold kind of situation. It was nice, though.
I was the third wheel. I was the third wheel.
Anyway, here, like seeing these, there was these weird creatures in the background, and you were like, it's the, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And then they said this, and then they said that, and it was a lot of fun. watching you watch the movie. Also, the movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a lot of fun because I came with lowered expectations because I've seen D&D movies before. They suck balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not fun. And it's actually quite funny because if you think about it, and something I spoke to you all about, every movie technically is a D&D movie because it's an
Yeah.
adventure about these characters who do a thing and have a goal and need to grow and need to get stats. So how is this going to be a D&D movie? Like, why is this different than any other adventure movie? I mean, if you think about it, um, Mission Impossible is a D&D movie, right?
Absolutely.
So I,
100%.
I was thinking, like, are they going to finish the movie where you see these kind of kids at the end say, like, oh, that was a cool, campaign or whatever? Or are they going to like fully put us in the world and give us references of everything that has to be with that has to do with D&D? Either way, what they end up doing was amazing. They said, we're just going to put you straight into the story, straight into the world, and you immediately enter the world. You're like, yes, I am in. I'm part of this world. I fully accept it. And it's awesome. The casting was awesome. The
Mm-hmm.
acting. For some reason I saw on the internet that people are pissed off about the CGI. I guess it wasn't good, but I mean, I thought it was so good. A week later, I took my kids to watch the movie with them. So
Hell yeah.
I saw the movie twice in the theater with the couches, and I sat with my kids. I made a
That's so
little
good.
tiny mistake. Yeah, it was fun. I made a little mistake where I brought my youngest daughter, who is 5, and I thought from what I remember from the first viewing that it was fine. And then I kind of remember, oh, there are like 2 or 3 jump scares. I forgot about those. And there
And the
are
whole
two
speaking with dead.
that was actually that was actually fine because they made it a funny part.
Right. But still
But
scary imagery for a
it's
five-year-old.
yeah, that it was a
I
little
think that's good though. A good little immersion between like, hey, darkness can actually be okay, kind of, but it's a tricky moral line to like kind of convey, but it's still really it's good because it's good for the development. I'm just, whatever. You
not
keep
but but
keep
not but
bothering,
not
tell
for
me.
not for a 5-year-old because the funny part about it is she didn't really care about those things. A few days later, after watching the movie, she woke up in the middle of the night screaming about Sophina. She was freaked out about her. Just to show,
Oh,
just to show you how they casted and how this actress acted was amazing. I said like what's wrong? Why are you scared? And she's like her scream. And I said, oh, yeah, that was actually kind of scary for me also. Where
that's good
the
though.
you guys remember that scene, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the
Where
witch.
yeah, well, yeah,
The
where
Red
Sophina
Wizard. Yeah.
Right.
out of nowhere, she just screams and yeah, to
Yeah.
get the changeling out, right? To get the I think her name is Derek, to get her out of
Master.
her form and to catch her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for some reason that freaked her out. Anyway, I'm just trying to
Good
give my
moment. A
impression.
good it's good that the bad guy is bad.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, excellent casting,
Mhm.
excellent everything. I loved it. I'm giving it like totally out of the box, like immediately 9 out of 10.
Damn. Wow. Fresh
Nice,
off.
nice.
Woo.
Y'all, what about you?
I think I
You guys pretty much said it all. Like
No, no, you say it again though. That's what the content's all about.
and
Say it
I
more times.
I loved it. The storyline, intern into the world, the acting, the again, everything was amazing. I enjoyed it 100%.
Also the
And
music.
it also, yeah, great music. They did a great job. Definitely, if there's going to be a two, that would be amazing.
We'll watch. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably going to be with the leader of the Red Wizards, who's for some reason still alive.
Yeah, well, he's
um
an important character in the lore.
Yeah, could be, you know. So yeah, I definitely love it. I enjoyed it, and this is one of those movies that I will definitely watch again, soon, or
Yeah.
I don't know
And
when.
for anybody at home who wants to play D&D, like or hasn't played D&D and like is not sure about seeing, go see the movie. Go see the movie, enjoy it, because it doesn't really matter if you've played before or not. In the end, it's very inspiring, and you too can have adventures like these at home. Like the D&D world is just, you can hop in and out at the certain times in lore if you want to participate in that story, in those stories. Not that this is particularly focused around an actual event in the history or the, signed. I don't know if sure that I'm pretty sure Wizards of the Coast would have to have approved of all this, so potentially this could be taken as actual historical canon in some subsect of the histories. However, you can do whatever you want. It's freaking D&D. However, yeah, this movie's fantastic. Absolutely.
It is. It is absolutely fantastic, and I believe you're going to correct us quite a lot while we get going to miss
We'll see. We'll
name
see.
things.
I'm probably gonna miss things or not catch things. Like there, a lot of the moments that I was having were like, oh, that's this thing, or I've encountered that before, or I can't believe they have this. And then the this or the that is unnamed because I don't remember what its actual name is, but I know what it does and I know how bad it sucks. But I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Anyway, so let's jump into, like, really jump into the movie. But
Plot analysis.
right before we do, the three of
Sponsor?
us, no, the, the three of us
One day.
actually did talk about the trailer, and we gave our thoughts and theories about the movie. So who anyone wants to compare between what we said on the trailer and what we are going to say here on this episode, go to episode 3 of the podcast. I will also put a link in the bio, and you can compare between the two and see how much we got right and how much we got wrong. Anyways,
yeah,
let's jump into it. Yeah, so Adam, since you're the
Let's
one.
roll some dice. You should have said, "Oh, that was a missed opportunity."
Yeah,
let's roll some.
We'll get it in post.
I rolled a 1.
Yep, you rolled a 1.
Speaking about rolling a 1 and dice, I did tell Adam after we saw the movie. I told him, what would have been amazing if, like, they somehow still showed us the dice in some way. So, for example, when the bridge collapsed, so you see, like,
that was definitely a roll 1, natural 1 for sure.
Exactly. Let's say you see that, and after he steps off, like it takes his foot off of the brick, then you see, like, let's say for the viewer or the fan, you see a number 1 on the brick.
If we watch the movie again, I don't know how, because I didn't catch anything that specifically caught my eye, but I'm willing to bet that there was either some dialogue about it in post or pre, that they were included the numbers somewhere in the shots of when things like that happened. So, or at least an abstract, like, singular thing where you could be like, that's the number 1, or that's a natural 20, or that's a, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm thinking of some things, like general actions, like, mid rolls or whatever wouldn't show up, but like a natural 1 or like natural 20 would definitely have to be, like, I don't know, they'd have to give it some reference, like in the show Vox Machina, created by Critical Role. They, in the animation, they hid dice everywhere in the animation, like the dodecahedron, the shape of a D20 in, like, all frames one way or another, and it's like you can catch it if you're paying attention, but if you're not, it just looks like the world and vibe. So who knows?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to watch the movie again. Anyways,
as I actually was looking at the battle scenes, and I was trying to see if there was any hints of initiative initiative.
Yep.
Is that how you say it? Initiative, right?
Initiative.
So,
yeah.
like when at the end battle, spoilers, where they're fighting Sofina, and what see if the attacks are happening at a certain order, just like the game. Like player 1 hits, player 2 hits, bad guy hits. Player 3 hits. Player 1 hits, player 2 hits, bad guy hits. Player 3 hits, right?
Did you
just
find
like the
an
game.
initiative order?
It was way too fast. I couldn't. Even
It's
even when I
possible.
watched it for the second time with kids, I couldn't. It was way too fast.
That's a good thing to look for. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Nice. That's that.
All right.
I mean,
No,
anyway.
it's really cool. I did think you're gonna see it later in the episode, but yeah, actually cool. Anyways, Adam, since you are the one who did see the episode, the movie twice, I'm pretty sure you're the one with a better memory of what happened in the movie, unless if Moses you do, because I don't remember anything. Well, no,
let's
I
let
do.
Adam.
I do remember stuff. I don't remember how the movie begins. So
I have a memory like a steel trap that rolled a natural one. Anyways, I'm just kidding. I would like to hear Adam talk about it, and we can interject.
Yeah. So Adam, you go, and we will interrupt you while you say stuff. And the reason I chose you, not only that you saw the movie twice, get off the fucking game and be with us.
I'm with you guys. Come on, don't be like that. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay, Yala, go.
I'm totally focused. Oh, geez, Rick. All right, so the movie opens up with snow everywhere, and like we're focusing on this huge, muscular prisoner. Everyone's afraid, like if he's gonna do something, he's chained. I mean, I'm pretty sure they even chained his balls. All right, everything is chained. I mean, they even chain him to the ground when he's walking. It's insane. And then they shove him in a room where immediately we see our main characters. And this is gonna be something. One guy, his name is Ed. The other one is Holga. Dude, I actually remembered that. Nice. And of course, immediately we get like this, kind of crisscross. What's going on over here? Who's the bad guy? What's gonna happen? And pretty much in the first sentence, you get a gist of who these people are immediately. Ed, played by Chris Pine, is, well, he's exactly who you think he would be. He is, he's not a jester, but he's the nonchalant kind of guy, very charismatic, happy-go-lucky. Holga is the typical barbarian, where almost reminding us of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, where she doesn't really understand references, but she does. But she's very serious, and she has weird aneurysms was it mannerisms?
She liked potato.
Exactly. And immediately she like destroys this guy. I totally forgot that there was a kind of hint of rape. I mean, because basically this guy in the cell, the first thing he says is, "I was never with a female before. This is gonna be nice." That's basically hinting of rape. And my kids are like,
it's gonna go over the head.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like, and I'm just like, please, come on, just skip to the kicking of the ass, so they don't actually focus on that. And then Holga kicks his ass, and that's that.
Must have been a good reaction.
Yeah, so like immediately we understand who we're dealing with. Anyway, I'm gonna skip the boring part. They have their trial to see if they can get early access out of prison, because they, well, guess what? Stole something. Honor among thieves. But are they really thieves? I mean,
they explained their whole backstories, though. Come on now.
Right.
Or at least Chris Pine's whole backstory.
They drop a fuck ton of exposition, all right? But they do it in such a good way where you're like, okay, I'm listening. I mean, the whole thing with Jonathan is Jonathan coming, and then he
Stalling for a certain judge to get in. Yeah.
exactly. Then he retells the story, and the judge is like, "You went far. You went too far behind. Stop, stall." So that's a huge problem with movies that have to give you a lot of exposition. If you do it in a good way, then sure, the audience doesn't care. At a certain point, you said to me, like, is like the whole movie going to be flashbacks?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
yeah, so after the movie, I, we, like the three of us were talking, and when we saw the movie, we had a break in the middle of the movie,
In
and
Israeli theaters.
yes, Israeli theaters. And when we had the break, I first of all said, "Oh my God, we just got to halftime," and like it's been a very long time, and we only now got to halftime. It's like that's when I realized, oh shit, this movie is a long movie. I didn't know how long it is, but that's one. Then what went in my mind is this entire half was just flashbacks, most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm trying to predict the future. Are you telling me that this entire movie is just fucking flashbacks? That's basically this movie. And now I started to kind of dislike this movie. Like, even though this flashback was funny and all that, but the first half
It
is
could
just
have gone that. It definitely had that vibe of like, all right, there's enough material because the mystery is how did they end up there? So this movie could take its time, and then maybe the end of the movie is them like escaping or finding release, and we've earned our points to get here. But at the same time, there's enough exposition running through that you're like, this story seems like it's going to end relatively soon, and they keep asking over this Jonathan guy. Who the hell is Jonathan? And then the story is mainly interrupted, or well, ends, but Jonathan arrives.
yeah. But not only that, like we got like a flashback on that. Then we got a flashback about the barbarian girl. I forgot her name. Then we got a
Olga.
flashback Holga. Then we got a flashback about the witch, the wizard.
Yeah.
We keep getting flashback on almost each character, so it became like, is this movie just flashbacks? Is this what's going to happen? So the first half, I enjoyed it, but then when I realized it's all flashback, I started to dislike it, and that's when by the second half, that's when we got actually okay. Let's stop with the fucking flashbacks. Let's jump into the actual movie and what you guys are in here for. And that's when, like, holy shit, this is getting better. So yeah, Adam, that's me.
Yeah.
Well,
I just wanted to say, I just want to break in that moment where they like clothesline Jonathan and pop out the window to escape. Super D&D. And especially when like, think about it like this, when that quick line where the judges are like, but we were going to approve you, which is, it's comedic and hilarious. It's like, think about it, it's the setup for like a D&D session. Like, okay, now you're here, now explain a bit about your backstory, about how you got here to appeal towards the judge, and we'll do some rolls. And maybe one of the characters knows that, like, has asked the DM like, oh, what kind of creatures or people I'm interacting with. And so in the meantime, while they're telling their story, they're texting their friends, we're going to like bust out of here, I got a plan. And they're like, okay, what do you mean? And then by the time they finish their exposition, they're like, okay, great, grab the aircraft, grab this bird person and jump out the window. And they're like, the DM's left stunned, like, a roll for that, and they roll really well, and you're just like, fuck, just give it to them. Yeah, sure, they got to start the adventure somehow, so fine, go for it. So that was key. I really enjoyed that. Also, in the beginning of from where we talked about to now at this point, we had seen several race creatures that are playable races and or monsters that you would encounter in D&D, which were awesome. There were snake people, there was troll, or like orcish types, Aarakocras, They had some very strange. I can't remember everybody. I think a tabaxi in there, a cat-like person. And they were just really just hammering it. Like, here's the diversity, fucking take it. And I was just like, I'm glad you took my money. This is worth it already. Like, to see these creatures fully fleshed out and realized, and they felt real in the world. And like, I'm pretty sure a lot of those were practical effects for a lot of the
Oh yeah,
close-ups,
dude.
which
Even the
was so
fish.
clean.
Yeah, I don't think anything when it comes to those creatures. I don't think any of them were full on CGI. They looked practical.
Yeah. Obviously, it was CGI, but yeah, no, they did look very real and practical. So yeah, let's it is midnight 30 a.m.
Yep.
So let's try to speed run with this movie because this movie is three and
It's intense. It's dense. But we got past the big part. Now we get up to the setup.
Yes. So Moses, give us the setup.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, clue in. This is the speed round. All right, our main heroes, their main focus is to get back to our main hero's daughter so that they can be all together and everything's going to be okay. They end up into the town or village or kingdom of this certain area that's happening to be run by the person they left the daughter with. So you can see that he scammed his way up to the top because he's the con man. And so then they get there and they meet up with the daughter, and the daughter is really confused and doesn't really seem to like the father. And you're like, okay, that's understandable. There's certain things, but there's a little extra tension. And you realize that the con man has actually set up the daughter against the father. And so there's this division, and they realize they're being blamed and they need to get out and escape because now they can't do anything. And so there's a certain events coming up that doesn't seem related. And you're like, what's going on? And so they get kicked out of the kingdom, and they need to form a party in order to heist the crap out of that kingdom in order to steal back the daughter and potentially get the plaque back in which he can raise his dead wife. Now, we go on a little bit of a rampant journey to get everybody together to meet the crew, the party, everybody. We meet, what's his name? Not Sam, the wizard dude, the sorcerer.
Gandalf.
Sure.
No, he has a weird name. But anyways, pretty like
Gandalf.
funny. Yeah. Anyways, they each of these characters has their own inner dilemma and things like that nature, which is really cool. We meet Olga's ex, who's a gnome, which is hilarious because why not? That's definitely a DM thing to do. Be like, yeah, sure, I'll give you a completely contrasting race. Hilarious. We also meet the druid stealthy girl, shapeshifter. She's a tiefling, but she's also a druid by class. She can shapeshift, and that was super fun. Very inventive usages of certain spells or stuff. Certain things like she would be able to change into an owlbear. Not a thing, but hey, you could homebrew it. It'd be fun. And then finally, what? There are owlbear. Oh, there are owlbears in D&D for sure. That's a staple creature. However, shape shifting into one, you need not in the druid's natural spell list or shape shifting list. However, your DM and you can talk about that and determine when you could. You'd have to be a really high level to consider doing that.
I mean, did you see how she fought off Sophia? She's pretty high level.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. My thing was trying to figure out what levels they would be basically from some of their actions or abilities or difficulty handling certain things. And I wasn't quite determined. I figured maybe around between 7 to 13 would be the thing, because some of the things they pulled off were pretty impressive. And of course, we meet the NPC paladin, who's pretty dope and even walks in a straight line like an NPC should.
I fucking love that guy.
He's super dope. Here's the thing, little like insight to the mind of like why he's so dope and badass. Any NPC who plays like that, you guys kind of experienced, is the DM having fun and like self-inserting themselves into this NPC to be like, I'm fucking badass. You know what I mean? So you remember the captain of the watch from
Yeah,
your
of
little,
course.
and he was fucking badass. That's
It
me
was
having
badass.
fun. So
What I
um
what I like about that character, I think his name is Yandar because I remember the bad guy saying something Yandar, and it was like that's a sick ass name. I remember when we meet him. Do you know what the first thing this guy does when we actually meet him, not in a flashback? He literally saves a cat.
yeah,
Now, I don't know if you know this about storytelling and script writing, but saving the cat is a big thing. There's
yeah.
like a whole it's a whole cult called Save the Cat. I forgot who wrote the book, and I'm in schmuck for not knowing and not giving credit. But I even read the book and I forgot. But it's so funny. Like the first thing you see is Save the Cat, and that's one of his tricks. Do you want to have a character that immediately the audience will love? Make him save a cat.
Save a
It
cat.
doesn't
Yeah.
need to be a little cat. It can be anything that is inserted into the position of something you need to save.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing over here is that he actually just saves a little cat.
Yeah.
I
Little
mean,
tabaxi.
yeah, yeah. I knew it's not an actual.
Yeah, cat person, same thing.
You're in mute.
Your audio just cut. Yeah, you're on mute. You muted yourself. You might have sat on something. Yeah, you're muted. Yep, you're still muted. We'll let you know. Hey, so we meet the NPCs. They have some MacGuffins to go chase after. We also find that one of the random objects that Olga picked up was a wizard staff, but it's not a wizard staff, the hither thither staff, which I don't recall that being a specific item in particular of that name. However, portal making and like traveling is super common, so that's really dope. They make their way, so they make go from the material plane of like the nether. Where are they? They're in the
The
sword
realm.
coat. Well, they go to the I always mix it the under. It's not the under. It's and it's not the Shadowfell. It's the something. It's anyways one of the dimensions where it's like lower.
Nice.
Someone look that up. It's gonna bite me in the butt in just a second. But they go down there. And all the while, we're seeing little creatures in the background and all these little things. And there's even like a little smirch at like one of the monsters, IQ monster brain eating things that are hilarious. And we're seeing these little things in the background, not necessarily giving full like finger pointing, but with the camera work, you're definitely seeing these things. I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, these are like little rust bugs and all these shit. So it's good. They try to find a magical item for the sorcerer to attune to. It's a bit of a difficult. We meet some minions of the Red Wizard along the way who they find out they're undead. We have some moments with the undead too, trying to find uh the location of this prior to meeting our paladin NPC. And then finally the NPC says adios, disappears into the sunset. Our sorcerer tries to attune, has a difficult time. We have some interpersonal reactions of like, oh, what's going on? Are we going to do this? Are we not? We got to try anyways. Inner reflections, and they decide to go through with the plan. Plan's happening on a game day. Things are going crazy. We find out more about the backstory of who is the bad person, who is this red wizard girl that we keep seeing, even though she didn't look like a red wizard, but obviously she's evil if she kind of looks like that. Anyhow, also she betrayed them in the past, so it's like, what's going on?
Children are a perfect indicator. The second she was on screen, even though there was nothing malicious about her,
Yep.
my daughter, the youngest one, she looked at me and she's like, I don't like her. I'm like, holy shit.
Your daughter's just racist, but you know, whatever.
I raised her right.
Yeah. They do this whole really cool, really creative thing in order to sneak on a portal into where it's going to be stolen or like where they're going to go. And it fails horribly in the terms of like it goes to the right place, but it's not the right place. So they can't really get in. And so they're like, oh, we're gonna figure out, we're gonna have to brute force this. And there's some hilarious moments along the way. Also, along the way, in the very, very beginning, when we're meeting all of our new heroes who are joining the party, they get like hero moments of like them doing their thing. Super hilarious, super fun, super entertaining. Um, Again, this is such a good movie because the slog that we get of ideological filth of like, you need to believe this, you need to like this character because they stand for these values and they're this color, is all skin deep. All these characters, though diverse and having very clearly different paths and orientations, that it's not important. It's the story. They have their complex characters, they have things behind them that they care about, things that make them want to push them forward. Should they or should they not align themselves? There's complicated interactions between all these characters. There's heart behind it. So we finally get to the big climax where they finally face to face with who?
Yeah, no, continue.
Sofina, that's the name.
Prior to Sofina, they end up in the games. They're trying to use the games to.
What's his face?
They think they get the daughter, but they don't, and so then they're thrown into the games because hubris, because she thinks she's gonna use them as minions. Because we find out the big MacGuffin is gonna turn everybody into slaves, basically, mindless zombie peoples, and then they make it out
9 to 5.
Yes.
Oh.
It's a metaphor. And they have a face. They finally kind of make it and can sail away. And then they have kind of a change of heart because he made a vow, he made a promise, and he needs to redeem himself. He's an inward paladin. He's a Harper paladin, maybe. We don't know his class. It's kind of multi-classed. So he turns back and they give the treasure back to the people, and then they have the big face off with the evil bad red wizard chick, and they totally have a hard time working it, but they, with their creativity and the power of friendship, they overcome at the loss of one of their members, Olga. And then Chris Pine, the other CP, has
the tablet
has the device, the other MacGuffin, to raise someone from the dead. And he thinks about it, and of course he loves his wife, but he realized that his child never knew his wife. She only knew Olga. She was the mother figure. So he wishes to have her resurrected, and she comes back to life, and the whole gang's back together again, and they metaphorically walk off into the sunset as they enjoy stuff. And that's basically the end of the film. And and the credits are pretty rad too as an art piece if you enjoy watching that too. That's the whole thing wrapped up.
Yeah, that's a serious speed run of the movie.
I mean, there's little iconic moments that are very difficult to I want to say Thundershaw, like they fucking run into one of the huge.
Okay. We can still get into now, since you gave a speed run of the entire movie.
Let's go.
We can talk about specific moments that we enjoyed and what happened. And I did realize, you didn't really mention the motivation, the entire reason why our thieves are doing this quest. So if I remember right, so at some point we have the old gain, because the original old gain, and they steal things and all that, and at some point Chris Evans
I see what you did there.
He steals gold, but he didn't know he stole gold from these
from the red wizards that they marked it.
He didn't know that it was marked. He did steal it purposely. He just didn't know it was marked.
Exactly. And obviously he took it home, and then he was on another mission. While he was on another mission, then he realized, they went and, killed his wife, and his daughter is alive. Then they continued on, with the quest. Several years later, they find a necklace, give it to the daughter, she can turn invisible. And our main character finds out about this tablet that can bring the dead back to life. And that's basically the mission. He wants to bring his wife back to life. So that is his purpose. He goes to, try to get his wife. Not his wife, the tablet. They go on this mission, and then while they are doing this mission, they basically were betrayed by one of the members. And that member is one of, who later on betrays them again and kidnaps Chris Pines. I forget his name, but the loot man, Ed, loot man. He
Lumen?
Loot. He's he plays music. Isn't it that name? Anyways, so the guy takes his daughter and he betrays them later again. But so that's basically the purpose. He wants to, and that's how they got to prison and later escaped in the beginning of the movie. But that's the motivation, to get his daughter back and get the tablet back and basically get his wife back to life. And
it's good motivation.
It's good motivation, exactly. So that's the motivation and what they are planning on doing. Anyway, so yeah, what else? I do want to get back to this specific moment once, like, towards the end of the movie, that Moses did say already, that I think you and I can answer. It's a more of a tough question for you and me, since we're both married. So
right,
we will get to that later. What was your favorite part of the movie? Oh my god, this is amazing.
It's hard to say because it's just how they built the whole thing around. I have to say, the part that actually made me say, wow, this is extremely well thought, is not the heist to steal the stuff in the vault, but to put the MacGuffin, or the special painting, in the vault.
Yes.
That whole part with the hither thither staff, where they did, she needs to be here, and then they need to put over here on the ground, and then with the hammer, they hammer it in over here, and then and it was, you know what? If I said what makes this story a movie, a D&D movie, and not just a regular, adventure movie, in all those adventure movies, most likely the first plan works. I mean, I don't remember a movie I watched lately where the good guys come up with a plan and it doesn't work, or at least, it doesn't work immediately. Over here, they come up with a plan. It's really smart. You're convinced, like, oh shit, this is gonna work, and it doesn't. And that's where you're like, shit, what now? And I can just imagine the D&D, the DM, just looking at all the characters and say, like, well, tough shit. Start thinking about something. That's D&D. What do you do? And it was amazing. And Chris Pine, he's like, well, we're gonna do plan C. What's plan C? Plan C is plan A, but actually we just need to, like, and it's amazing. It's like, okay, what about plan D? Plan D is actually plan B. Then why are you calling it plan D? Because plan B kind of sucks. And it's pure D&D. It's so funny and it's so well thought of, but it also didn't work. And that's what's amazing, because you think it actually would. That was my most favorite part of the movie. The way they came up with it. Sometimes when I think to myself, how did someone write such a shitty script? Some asshole looked at it, approved it. A director looked at it, said, I'm going to direct the shit out of this. Another producer said, I'm putting money on this. And it actually turned into a movie. There's so many shitty movies like that. I'm just baffled. Over here, the exact opposite. It was exactly how a movie should be planned. It was well thought of. You can see it was hard work just to come up with the whole thing they did over there. And I was just happy to see it.
I totally agree. That was actually one of my favorite parts, the entire heist of putting the painting in the carriage that will later on will be in the vault. But yeah, no, this movie is absolutely perfect. They thought of everything and everything except for one thing that I immediately, while watching the movie with you guys, I said like they did a little mistake over here.
But that's not in that's not in the putting the picture in the caravan
Yeah,
section.
no,
That's
I mean like in general in the movie itself that I personally noticed. At some point they are trying to get the helmet. The purpose of the helmet is to cancel all magic that is active in
a certain radius.
A certain radius. Now we don't know what is the radius, but clearly we do see in the movie it's the entire city. It doesn't matter if you're inside a
They
building.
show a good chunk of it. I do admit it was like pretty wide. However, it was interesting because he kind of enters in like, okay, I wasn't quite sure because I need to watch it again. A radius is like a 2D, like whatever. Like, is it a sphere? Maybe. But when he enters, when he puts it on and he's challenging to attune it, which is a cool idea. He enters into this like semi phase of like time. Now, I wasn't sure if when he puts it on in front of the door, that was that blast, quote unquote, was him entering in at that time to have that moment, and then afterwards it dispelled within a certain area, or that as he was putting it on, all this chaos that was coming out. Because again, I wasn't quite sure how much damage, quote unquote, we were actually seeing that was relevant to that item. So I do understand where you're coming from, and I may even agree with you. I don't feel like I had the full context of how the item worked, and that isn't bad on their part per se. However, because you can't go into all the details of an item per se. However, a little more exposition or a little more, I don't know, showing what happens when he puts it on would have been a little more helpful. Because basically, we got a little montage of him getting thrown around, and then the final scene.
I mean, what else do you want to see? I don't agree with you. The whole attuning part was amazing. You saw
I
the
didn't say that was
concept
bad.
No, but you want them to show more. Dude,
No, but because
was
Joel's problem is saying like it seemed that when he puts it on, we don't know how much magic it cancels within a certain thing. We see a blast of some sort when he puts it on, but we don't know if that's just energy being released when he's just whatever, and that the rules are that it breaks down the thing in front of him or
it's
whatever.
not.
It's a great moment.
He says an incantation. He does something with his hand. He says an incantation. He does like this movement, and then the blast happens. It's on purpose.
It's not the helmet. It's the blast with his hands. Is that what that moment was?
The helmet just helps him to do the damage for a certain radius.
And now I'm confused because
from my understanding. So I'll explain what I noticed over here that was a little mistake on their part and how they could have done it better. So as we said, our heroes or thieves, they did the spell with the teleport thing to try to get into the vault, and so that's a piece of magic. Then our wizard guy, he puts on the helmet.
Simon. Sorry, just remembered
Simon. There we go. Yeah,
it's almost like Sam.
The helm of disjunction.
Yes. So Simon puts on the helm. He is finally worthy of it, and then he does the spell to encounter the spell that is on the vault, so like that they can easily open it and get in. So he does it. Then we see the entire city's magic. We see even floating lamps everything falls
It's
down.
not the entire city. We see they probably showed it more accurately. A 300-foot radius.
300
When
foot
it's
is
used,
a
it
lot.
fires an anti-magic pulse that consumes an enchantment within 300 feet of the user. Any magic that isn't in the user's possession is deactivated for 60 seconds. Any potion or scroll is instantly destroyed. Any ongoing spell that touches the pulse ceases to function. Finally, the pulse is strong enough to knock anyone nearby prone. The Helm Disjunction is effectively an electromagnetic pulse for magic, effectively doing away with one of the most powerful forces in the franchise.
Did you just read that from the actual book? Is that canon?
What is the Helm of Disjunction based on? The fans can now add the Helm of Disjunction to their game now, but the item doesn't exist in any source book. The artifact was invented entirely for honor among thieves. There are ways to stamp out magic. The most notable method of putting an end to nearby magic is an 8th level abjuration spell anti-magic field. True. This spell creates a bubble through the wizard. It's a bit too high level for Simon. Would have been purview as a would have been out of his purview as a sorcerer. Simon and his allies had to turn to an alternative solution. The Helm of Disjunction borrows from the source material. The Helm gets the word disjunction from an old D&D spell called Mordekainen's Disjunction. Fans may recognize the name Mordekainen from which is mentioned in the movie, by the way, Mordekainen. But that made me squeal like a little girl. Yeah, the seal is Mordekainen's seal, but it's not. Again, there's no spell of that name, but it's cool. Mordekainen from the classic sourcebook, some of the arcane and the form of the arcane seal that holds Neverwinter Vault door Kolos. Mordekainen's Disjunction is known as Mage's Disjunction. It was a 9th level abjuration spell that was present in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd editions of D&D. It isn't available anymore in modern iterations of the game, so newer fans may not have heard of it. That's me. Disjunction instantly reduces any nearby spell or magic item in its initial components, dissolving the effects into a pile of unconnected items. This is a bit more esoteric than the effect of the Helm of Disjunction, but it's clearly an item's main inspiration.
Where are you reading all this from?
I have my sources.
Oh, damn, son.
Anyways,
just so it's fair, this source is from Game Rant. So
nice.
Props out to those guys. Specifically Joshua Christian McCoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with everything you just said in mind, I will add that to the problem that I noticed. So anyways, they did the magic for the portal before he used the helm. Then he uses the helm and we see all magic within a certain radius, 300, whatever he said. Bubble, 300 feet, and a bubble. I use meters, okay? Fuck feet. I love feet. Feet is very sexy.
Oh, boy.
No, it's disgusting. Anyways, so 300 feet, a bubble of it basically cancels all magic. Now, let's say...
That's 91 meters for all you metric people out there.
So let's say the bubble didn't reach, the portal, which, if I remember right, we do see it reach it over there.
No, because that's the thing. We think it's behind the door. It's not.
Well, either way, the other they have like 2 portals, right? So the other portal should be in the vault, which should still cancel it. Either way,
no, the other portal's on the table and the other portal's on the picture.
Which the picture's in the vault, which it should still be canceled. Not.
No, see, that was the whole twist of the movie. Remember, there was nothing in the vault. All the stuff had been moved out, not even put in the vault. The games were a distraction, and and all this stuff was far away from the vault.
Well, you kind of.
I need to find a buzzer sound.
I see that you're kind of trying to make sure.
I'm sorry. Try again.
Moses is right. Yoel, you are incorrect.
Either way, with what I'm trying to say for the 5th time, that it should have canceled the thing, but with everything just said, Jesus fuck Moses.
That was wet.
What do you
It's
say?
canceled.
What?
Not only that, it's canceled. You also mentioned if it's magic that is not his. He did the portal, which means even if that did reach, the
He
portal,
used the stick, but
which
the stick
means
isn't on him. Its effects weren't canceled.
either way, you tried very hard to just make me wrong. Jesus, fuck you.
Just one more.
Like I said, this script goes thought through.
It was very
the movie is well solidly crafted, and the directors knew what they were doing.
Yes, and Moses, you did a very good job to basically prove me wrong. You cannot, fight with the DM over here, as I see.
You can't fight with
good.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. I'm Moses Moon. I'm signing off. Thank you.
This movie is rare. It's rare how good the everything is.
Yeah, it is one of those rare movies, amazing movies, and I feel like Moses, I think you're getting back at me for that penis joke I made earlier today, on while you were recording. Anyways. let's continue with our conversation.
What? You want me back?
Oh yeah, because he left. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. What's going on?
No, nice come back.
No, I'm here.
I miss you so much. DM, please.
It's good.
Yeah. Okay. So the fat dragon. Oh my god. The
Thumber Shard.
Nice.
Such wow. I was not expecting that. Like, all the signs are present. If you wanted both in visual storytelling and in D&D, where you're climbing up the hill and you're running away, roll me a perception check. You roll, it doesn't matter what the roll is. You're seeing bones as your bones and skeletons, and just a whole shit ton of them, and you're crawling up them. Now, as a D&D player, you may be like, oh, this is cool atmosphere, I'm running up it. But if you're actually thinking like a DM player, you mean, oh shit, I'm walking into a place that's, if it has bones or signs of death, there's probably death around. So as they're climbing up and I'm watching this, I'm like, that's a lot of bones. Oh boy. And I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna run into. I have no idea. And again, they're in, I think it's the Underdeep. The Underdeep? Does that make sense? No, hold on. I'll find it, but
I am not a D&D person. I try, but I don't remember anything. So it could be the Underdeep. It could be the Netherrealm, like Minecraft or something. But no, seeing that dragon, like that huge, like that is the first time I've ever seen a fat dragon.
Yeah, there's a whole lore behind that. So, okay. So we're talking about planes of existence, but is it the Underdark? It's the Underdark. The Underdark has to be the Underdark. No,
it's the Underdark.
It has to be, yeah, Underdark. Where is it? Okay, there we go. Anyways,
it's under the dark.
Lore of the Underdark, there is a city run by the Durgar, who are basically Underdark dwarves, or there are gnomes and such types. Anyways, okay, so this is a little disjointed, but it's like related, because we do see the city from afar. They do talk about it for like a quick second. In the lore, Thundershard is a red dragon. Red dragons and any dragons are very dangerous, but in particular, as they grow older, they get stronger in age. As they age, they get stronger and stronger. So basically what they use the dragons for is to light their forges and to, do that kind of cool dwarven smithy shit. Dragon's breath, come on, like it's cool stuff. But in order to make sure that this dragon isn't fucking like wreaking havoc in their towns, they feed the thing, make it satisfied. They give it gold, they give it all the stuff that a dragon would be satisfied, but they feed that motherfucker, and they're just stuffing him so that his
feed him with what?
That's the question. If you're a DM, you can figure out the answer to that, to your question, and then maybe make it a moral dilemma for your players.
Jesus. Where's Daddy? He went to get milk.
Basically. So they keep feeding him, and so that he's not as mobile or agile, so that it's easier to kill him. This is potentially not the first time this has happened. It's a cycle of when it comes to a certain age, they kill him, they could find an egg, do the whole process over again. So here we see that he's kind of outside all of that. So there's like interesting potential of like, oh, this is like after he escaped, or potentially in a certain mod, if you play a certain game, Out of the Abyss, there's a chance for players to make a decision about how they interact with Thumbershard and what they do with him to, help him, rule the town or the kingdom there, or do they kill him? There's a lot of fun stuff there. But so anyways, we see our heroes climbing up this bone hill. I'm not sure what's going to happen. All of a sudden we see this fat ass dragon start moving, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Thumbershard. Because when you interact with something in game and then you see it come into a movie, that's something special, like almost borderline, not as special as all three Peter Parkers from all different franchises coming in No Way Home, but that it was almost on par, because that's very special. That's very particular. That's like, they could have used any dragon. We saw a black dragon earlier in one of the flashbacks, could have been a callback. They could have had that one, because also it would be probably cheaper to have the same dragon being used. No one would have really, clued in per se that it was the same one, but it would, even if it was, people would be like, oh, that's cool. It survived the battle and it made its way down there. It's like, it's interesting, but to have a completely different character, different dragon, and even one with lore behind it really is really fun to see. And especially because it's like, oh, if you're just seeing it as a casual viewer, it's a fat dragon. That's amusing. We're in a world of House of Dragons and Game of Thrones and even The Hobbit. Like, we're used to seeing slim, terrorizing dragons. And so it's a slight subversion of expectations, but nonetheless still a credible foe, because it is a dragon. That was great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was, especially seeing him roll over and all that. It's like, you fat dragon.
Dude, imagine, like, I saw that. I just thought to myself, it just would totally suck. Like, you go to, like, I don't know, to Valhalla or whatever. It's like, hey, how did you die? I fought in the Great Wars. And it's like, how did you die? Dragon rolled over me. And what the fuck? He rolled over you. It's like, you didn't fight him? Nah, he just rolled over me, man. Jesus Christ, how fat was he? You don't want to even know. But that's the saddest thing. So sad.
Like, finally, I'm gonna fight a dragon. He's so fat, he's just gonna roll over me and gonna kill me. Jeez. Yeah.
My kids love that. They were like, the dragon's super fat. I'm like, yes, it is.
This is what's so great about this movie. It's also good for kids. Maybe not for 5-year-olds, but yeah.
Not for 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
I don't know. I see, like, I watched Indiana Jones when I was young, and I was still kind of sheltered. And like the first Indiana Jones, within the first 10 minutes, we see a dead guy come out on spikes. Now my adult brain, that's like, like, we can see it and it's like, oh, it's pretty horrific. But it was like, there is like a subtle like play of a scream in the background. Like, it's not actually happening, but it's like jarring. And that affected my little brain. I was like, but the rest of the movie was so good that it took me away from that. And I, as a person who loves cinema and a person who also loves storytelling, I think sometimes it's okay to be pushed a little bit into our uncomfort zones to face these things, because I think it does a lot, especially inspiration and understanding, like, or being pushed towards the grander notion of like storytelling, because in the end, the highs are the highs. That's what makes the payoff so good. Seeing the scary things is like, even as an adult, like that's part of good storytelling, of like, how much, like, when even in dramas, you know, instead the horror isn't a giant monster, it's the crippling depression breaking down the character, and we are like, oh, we've fucking been there, we know what that's about. And then to find them see the things that, you know, push them to being living their full potential, extrapolate that into any metaphor you want. And I think that's, you know, that's age appropriate. Now, I mean, some things are a little bit like grotesque and probably should not be viewed by all viewers per se, but I mean, it's all age, you know, person dependent, right? You're the father, you can determine who is what's good for, even if your kid wakes up at 5 a.m. screaming about red wizards.
2 days later.
That's amazing, though. That's amazing mark of storytelling. Like, yes, that's probably traumatized, but again, it's not real. So, you know, it's in the end, it's all good time. Other than you waking up at 5 a.m, but
no, he does it either way. Now that you talk about, you know, movies, when I was a kid, and it scared the living shit out of me. I think my first movie that I was way too young to watch that movie, and yeah, I still did, was
Bambi.
Jurassic Park.
That
was my.
Let me guess the scene. The lawyer on the toilet.
The lawyer on the toilet. I was 5 or 6 years old when I saw that movie for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Left us. Yes. Yes. So that I loved it. And by the way, Bambi is one of my favorite Disney movies. Fucking love that.
I don't trust the America's rating of movies. Like, you have PG stuff, and there'll be subtle hints of rape and weird sexual winks, like, oh, this joke is for the parents, even though the kids are watching. So yeah, it's in their heads.
But that's
now,
been around for a long time.
Yeah, but it's.
You ever watch Rugrats?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised what's in there. You search like adult moments in Rugrats and just see how many things you missed.
Holy shit!
No, I'll have to
good luck.
Do it now. The original Rugrats, not the new one.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's the thing, though. Like, that type of stuff has always been in there. And it's like a little hard. Yeah, as someone who cares about like the moral spectrum of like what your children are absorbing, it's hard to tell, but it really does show you that like they know their marketing and they know how to do these things in the terms of like, because you don't even think about it. When you were a kid, you remember great movies and you watch them again. You're like, I watched this? What? Like even the thing between Holga and her ex, that's a complicated romantic relational interaction. Also, she's huge, he's tiny. That's hilarious to us adults because we're like, how does that work? But you know, but the kids don't even think of that. They're just like, oh, that's silly. Like, he's a very little man. Like, that's funny, you know?
Right.
So it's just, I think it's I think a good bit of, I don't know, like, I think it's important for us. Like, I think that's really cool technically that like you watch the film first to like approve it for the family and then went in. I respect that. I think that's how it should be done mainly. Because like you really don't know what's
money
going
for
on.
Hollywood. Sure, they're totally on with it. No, but the thing is, even when I did watch it for the first time, I totally forgot about these little tiny things. I mean, I don't know. I guess I missed the jump scares. It was so.
Yeah, your adult brain kicked in. You're like, yeah, moving on. Also, exactly. I'm petrified and terrified. So traumatic burial. So
yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, we pretty much talked about everything else. The guy's got the helm. Thanks to the other guy, I forget his name.
NPC man.
Yeah, the NPC man. But he told them like, you can take the helm if you promise to give the gold to all the people, which was I loved how they did that with the air balloon. It's like, oh wow, nice, that's awesome. And that is also how they saved all the people and basically screwed over the Red Witch.
Yeah, very clever, quick thinking on behalf of the player. Actors. Story characters.
A lot of very clever, moments over here. It's like amazing. They did an absolutely amazing job. And then
pacing was really fun.
Exactly.
It's a great movie.
Exactly. And a lot of, funny moments, especially with the dead people, like, you have 5 questions. Like,
is that a question? Yes.
Is that a question? No, not like only when I say a question. Okay. Yes. Why did you say that with a question? I didn't.
I thought, because we saw like a quick version of that in the trailer, that because I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, that's gonna be like a one shot. Like they're just gonna do it once and it's gonna be a funny laugh, and then they're gonna move. But then they kept hammering the joke, and it was funnier and funnier. But at the same time, it evolved. It wasn't just the one motion, because there was the dynamics of like, oh, I wasn't even in the war. I slipped and cracked my head on a fucking bathtub, and was like, yep, he certainly did. And then until they finally find the right person. And then because they built up the tension of like, oh, we're expecting them, they leave him and he's still, waiting for the one question. Oh, that I laughed so hard. However, that spell would end at some point as soon as the wizard or whoever focuses on another spell and it dispels, and like that's whatever. You don't have to use all the questions. That's fine. However, I thought that was a brilliant choice, and technically, because that's funny as fuck.
You whispered. I couldn't hear anything you said.
I just said I'm going to implement that into my games because that's funny as fuck. And if anything, if the players do forget or purposefully leave it, I'm going to make it a vengeful character, and somebody's going to find this talking corpse. And well, what's probably going to happen is instead of, it's going to want to cry for vengeance, and it's going to they're going to put it on someone's back and convince them, but they're probably going to ask him a question like, hey, what's your name? And then he's going to be like, oh no.
Oh wow, that's genius.
Yeah, I love that.
Can you tell us the story of your background? Well, I would, but whole expositions later for new NPCs.
Yeah, but we also see the character again later in the after credit
at the end credit scenes. Yeah, that was good.
Which was funny. I think that's everything. I could be mistaken.
I mean, there's a lot of inner dynamics. Colin Firth, right, is the villain.
I guess. I don't remember the name of
the charismatic dude. Yeah.
No, that's Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant, thank you. Sorry, I don't know why I confused the names. Anyways, Hugh Grant did a great job. Chris Pine did a great job. Also, I was mistaken. What's her face? Olga, the girl who plays Olga, always dies in pretty much every movie she plays in. I was gonna say she didn't. Technically, she did die in this film, but she was brought back. So there's a little subversion of that. So that's pretty good.
It is, and
I didn't know that she dies in every movie she's in.
Oh yeah, no,
every movie.
Most of the movies she does, this actress does, she dies in almost all of them. And
she's like the female version of
the male version.
I know what you're talking about. Of what's his face?
Yep.
From he's in Lord of the Rings, and he died Boromir.
But
Ned Stark.
That's not his name.
Yeah, but
that's another character he dies in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. But yeah, no, she does die a lot in most of her movies, and lately directors like, hey, no, let's bring you back to life. Like, no, I had enough. Like, you can't kill me and bring me back to life. But anyways, I'm glad you did bring up this subject back to life.
Sean Bean, sorry, Sean Bean.
Sean Bean, yes.
There you go. Yes, sorry.
Anyways, I'm glad you did bring this subject about her, because after watching the movie, I did ask Adam this question, and I told him, you know what, don't give me the answer until we do the podcast, because this is a interesting question. So, Chris Pine, his main goal in this movie, is to bring his wife back to life, and also to save his daughter. That's his main goal. Now, at the end, he had the option to bring her back to life, but he didn't. Now, I asked Adam, if you were in his place, what would you do? Would you choose to bring back the love of your life, the woman you married, the mother of your child, or you would bring back to life this other woman who you're not married to? She is a mother figure to your child. And you do go on adventures and you do have each other's back, for better or worse. But at the end of the day, you don't love her in that way. So I told Adam, don't answer now, answer when we get to the podcast. So Adam, since you all married, go ahead. What would you do?
You know that episode on Family Feud where Steve Harvey asked a question, describe your wife with one of the seven dwarfs. And both contendants, yeah, exactly. They're like, no, I'm not answering that. So I mean, it's a loss for me. If I answer, I'm gonna bring back my wife. That's like, yeah, Adam, is that like, are you giving us your answer? Is that just politically correct? And if I say I'm gonna bring back some, my best friend who raised my child, if my wife
you're
listens
sleeping
to
on the couch.
She doesn't, but she does. Like, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, let's just say this. If I knew, I have a very good friend called Schmalem, and he's also married with 4 kids. He would totally, in that situation, resurrect the friend because Schmalem accepts death as something that is part of life and doesn't hold back and lives in the past. So Schmalem would totally, without even thinking twice, he wouldn't even go on this quest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, technically the whole quest to bring you there is to go through this whole place of acceptance and like life altering adventure.
Exactly. So that's the answer I'm gonna give for someone called Schmalem.
A friend of yours.
A friend of mine, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not me, folks. I'm not married.
You're not married, but you know what? If you were.
See, here's the thing. You said if I was in his shoes. Now that makes it very specific. That means I would have had to gone through all this to come to this place, this choice, this realization. Also having potential metaphorical encounters with dragonflies, which were a symbol for my dead wife. So me personally, I don't think it would necessarily take all this adventure for that. I think I would have like, it took that adventure not for him because it was about him getting the tablet in the first place. In that moment, when he can finally take the time to use it, he's now faced with a choice. But the clear and right choice is that, and then it is about learning to accept and move on and all that. So, yeah, I'm about the finality of death. I think it's hard when you live in a world of magic or resurrection, or because it's mentioned. It's just the fact that she was stabbed with a red wizard's blade, and the poison in that prevents you from being able to be resurrected. And that's hard in a magical world where resurrection is possible, where magic is a common experience. You take life for granted a little bit, depending, you're gonna die, but you have the chance to come back. And so there's like a bit of like, okay, when you're faced with that like finality, it's kind of hard to deal with. And I think technically on a writing level, especially since he's a harper and like he's got connections to some powerful peoples, it's a humbling and a realization. I think it fits the character very well. So I think for me, knowing that I have a platonic friend who's always had my back and who's always been there for my child and has raised them together, is just as valuable as a companion. Like I would have to accept the death. I would have to let her rest in peace, and essentially let myself go, because also on a practical level, like you can find love again. It just may not be with your friend who's raised your child, but for them that's a mother figure, and that's just as important. If your child didn't actually grow up with your wife, then it's still a stranger. It's still a thing. She already had a mother. She already had that. It's that old legend of like, you went through all this to find out that you had paradise in your backyard kind of deal. Which is a classic and wonderful story trope. And there's some lovely truth to it. To be appreciative and to be self-aware of these things. So all that to say is, yeah, I think I would absolutely want to raise the mother figure of my daughter, not my wife. If she did, she did. Like, rest in peace, have fun.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
These are difficult. I say the answers that you can't.
Yeah, you can. Okay. Awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
What about you?
And that's all the time we have for today, guys.
Yeah.
And what about me? It's a tough question because what
That's why we're asking.
Yeah, no. What I'm right now in my life, I married for 4 years. I have a son who's a year and 3 months old. So like, if it, God forbid, to happen now, so yes, obviously resurrect my wife. But we're talking about there's another woman.
You set the stakes.
Yeah,
You've already said if you were in his shoes, that means.
But then having someone else raise my child with me, he did not move on. Like, he moved on, but not fully. And that is basically the lesson he had to learn, to let go and move on.
It's also foreshadowed. Where do we meet this character? He's in a place of stagnation. He's met in prison, in an ice prison. It couldn't be more symbolic. It was there from the beginning, guys. It's so smart. This movie's amazing.
So yeah, it's it made perfect sense to choose the friend over the wife. And he also said to his daughter, the reason I went on this quest to get the tablet in the first place was not to get your mother, it was to get my wife. Even though it is the same person, she died while the daughter was like, what, a year or 2 years old. So her daughter she's not her mother. She didn't raise her as a mother. So it's like, you had an adopted mother. You had a stepmother, but your actual mother, you never had one. So you got what you needed. I lost what I had. And it's, no one knows what you have until you lost it. The thing is, he lost it and he's trying to go back to it. And this is the entire purpose of this movie, for him to learn to let go of what he lost. So
also, is super like, how strong of a male role model / father figure character archetype to all he's doing is like, yes, he realizes in the end that the internal aspects was that he was focusing on himself in the name of his daughter. However, when he took a step back to analyze, he acted as a father and did the best thing for her interests. And that's powerful. You don't see that in media these days. It's so nice to have a strong father figure who makes a wise and beautiful choice on those principles. And I'm all for it.
Yeah, it was great, really. Perfect storytelling, perfect ending. And with all honesty, if he really, really wanted to bring back his wife to life, he can simply do the spell to, where he asks her 5 questions and you just ask her 4 and that's it. Just ask her
what?
He just brings her back to life for the 5 questions, ask her less than 5 questions. And
we don't know what happened to her body.
We don't know what happened to her body, but let's say she is buried.
We do know what happened to her body, guys. They burned her, and he burnt
her. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That was that little clip. Yeah. Very nice.
So bring back the skeleton.
No, she's Ash, dude.
Okay, so you can't bring her back at all.
Yeah. That was well out by the directors, in my opinion. Once again, thinking through all the plot holes that potentially could have arisen.
Yes, they thought of everything. Anyways, without nerding out any longer, because it was also 1:32 a.m. So yeah, I'm pretty sure, Moses, you can nerd out even more and go into more details.
I don't want to.
No, please do. Adam is not busy.
I want to go to sleep, guys.
Anyways,
I'm so tired.
I do believe we got to the end of our episode for today. I'm your host, Joel, and with us, Moses Moon.
That's me, everyone.
And as well, my older brother, Adam.
Sleep.
If you want to compare between the 2 episodes, go to episode 3 where you can do the compare. We talked about the trailer of this movie.
Did you even compare? Were we even right?
Oh no!
Technically, the first half was kind of right, were my predictions, kind of, but it's the first half of the movie. It's not the plot. I didn't get anywhere near that. Yeah. There's some aspects of like such and such, but
I'll need to listen to the episode again. Either way, you can go to the bio of this episode and write a question or tell us what you think about the episode or podcast and suggest other stuff for us. Either way,
or ask about gay Adam. How is he gay? How is he married? How does that work?
We spoilers, obviously, and we talked about Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. And until then, we'll catch you guys up on the next episode. Bye.
Peace out.